Hey, buddy. I'm working on my sister's car today. She's got one of these V6 Tuscany Tiburon, Hyundai Tiburon Tuscany edition. And she's got some cool stuff on here. I think she bought the car that way, but the car is over 10 years old. And she told me that her clutch fluid was black. And she asked me what type of fluid it takes. I said it takes .3 brake fluid, same fluid as the hydraulic brakes. And she said, "Well, what color is .3 brake fluid?" I said, "It's clear, like water." So she wanted me to bleed the fluid out of her clutch. So I went on the internet because I'm not familiar with these Korean cars like Hyundais and what's the other one? Kia and Hyundai. I'm not really familiar with them, so I went online and I checked out to see if the slave cylinder was internal or external. And I found it to be external. It's right here. It's so easy to get at. And especially if you have a cold air intake or aftermarket air filter, because there's a breather box here normally. But anyway, yeah, that's the slave cylinder right there. So when you push the pedal, this comes out and it activates your clutch internally inside of the transmission. But I sprayed the bleeder screw here with WD-40 because it's a few years old and we live in Canada, so I don't want it to be seized. I really hope it's not seized. And and apparently there's a restrictor valve inside of the back of these, and it's common for people to take the restrictor spring right out completely. So see where my wrench is on there? These are like flare wrenches or line wrenches. You might be able to do it with regular wrenches, but that banjo bolt on the back where the fluid goes in, there's a restrictor spring in there. Now this car has already been modified. It's got strut tower brace, Optima battery, cold air intake. It's got HID headlights. It's got stainless. I think it's got the fancy exhaust on it. It's like driving this car is like Fast and Furious. She's Fast and Furious. Now, she did some makeshift bodywork on it, but it's kind of souped up, this little car. Anyway, so there is some cool stuff. I don't know what's going on internally. Like, I don't know if it's a factory clutch or stage 2 clutch, or I don't know anything about it, because this car is, you can tell that it's been performance modded. Somebody's modded it for performance. And that's the way she got the car. So, first thing I'm going to do is change the fluid. I don't want the fluid to be black, and neither does she. So I'm out here on a Sunday morning in December in the cold Canada, because I don't have a workshop to fit this car into. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do is break the bleeder, or crack it loose I should say. I've got a tube on there, clear tube, so I can see what's coming out, and so the fluid doesn't go onto the transmission. The fluid will go down the hose, down to a drain pan down below. I don't know, it's down there somewhere. Yeah, I got a little drain pan right there, and the hose goes into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is that, and I don't know if, because this car has been modified, this might have been done already. The restrictor spring, somebody might have removed it already, because this car is modified for performance. So first thing I'm going to do is check the fluid or bleed the fluid, flush the fluid, crack the bleeder, and maybe push the pedal a couple times and empty this out, not completely, but most of the way, and I'll add some fresh clean fluid and I'll just keep pumping it out. So I'm going to flush the fluid there, and I might check on that wrench, check if it's been modified or not. And if it hasn't been modified, I might just remove the restrictor spring. And that's supposed to be easy. You're supposed to just take the banjo bolt out, take the line off the back, and the spring should just come out. Excuse me. So anyway, I'm going to do that, and then I'll get back to you. Oh my goodness, what is it? See that, boys and girls? That's the flow restrictor. See the tiny hole in the end of it? It's actually like glazed over. The hole's not even barely there. Blow it. See that? That little tiny orifice and around the edges, that's the flow restrictor. And I feel like taking this and throwing it in the woods. Just throw it. But I'm not going to throw it because it's not my car. Now, since I had the focused in up close like this, everything far away is going to be blurry because this iPhone sucks at focusing. Don't buy an iPhone. Good Lord, don't ever buy an iPhone. I can't believe people line up in line to buy a new one every year. These are like the worst phones ever. Anyway, yeah, I have to focus up close because the iPhone, I got the banjo bolt out of there. There's copper washers on both sides of the banjo bolt, so make sure you don't lose them. That's what gives you a good seal. And if you have new ones, you should put new ones on, but I can reuse these. The mating surface is clean. I know it looks rusty on the outside, but the mating surface is really clean. Anyway, we're working with Canadian stuff, so there's surface rust on it for sure. But good news is I found the restrictor spring and the flow restrictor, and we don't need that. That's a common modification, performance modification, is to get rid of that. So I got rid of that. I got rid of all the black fluid. Now I can put it back together. Hooray! Alright, I'm done now. I evacuated the fluid from the bleeder. Just a recap from the first step I did. I put the clear tube over the top of the bleeder so you don't get any fluid on yourself or on the car. You don't want it on the ground either, so always catch your fluids in a drain pan and get rid of them properly. Don't put them on the ground. Don't get them on your skin. Don't get brake fluid on your paint because it'll peel the paint right off your fender, right off your car. And second thing I did was a flush. I put some clean .3 brake fluid in, did a quick flush, and then I took out the flow restrictor out of the banjo bolt. It's so simple. There's only one bolt on the feed line here. There's only one bolt in the feed line. Don't lose the copper washers on both sides of the fitting. And I took that spring out. I actually used an old guitar string to reach in there because I don't like getting brake fluid on my skin. So I reached in there with a guitar string, pulled that out, put it back together, bled it again, or I flushed it again, and then bled it finally. So look at the fluid now. It's not black anymore. It's clear like water. So the only thing I have to do now is top it up. As far as the clutch goes, I bled all the air out, so there is no air in the line. There, topped it up. top it up to the full mark. This is a lot easier if you have an aftermarket. This is a racing cold air intake, but if you have aftermarket intake, it's so much easier because there's no breather box here. But if you had a factory car, you'd probably have to remove your breather box. So yeah, there it is on a cold Canadian Sunday, out in the snowbank, working on cars, doing stuff and doing things and helping family. Hey buddy. Yeah, that's it guys. See you next time.